Beyond the bottle. There's going to be a couple of these. This one is finding new purpose in sobriety. It's kind of a great topic. When I was out there drinking, I had a single as a purpose. It was to get drunk as often as I could. A lot of people try to get sober and don't have a purpose. That's kind of why they go back out. They have nothing to fulfill themselves enough to continue doing what they're doing to stay sober, and they fall back into old behaviors and start drinking again. So let's start off with asking Google what is the best definition of purpose, and it actually gave me a great one. The best definition of purpose is a deeply motivating central aim or intention that provides direction, meaning, and a reason for existence, guiding actions towards personally significant long-term goals that often benefit others or the world. It's more than just a task. It's an energizing, meaningful objective that connects to your values and strengths, driving you to make a positive impact. That's a pretty strong definition. It also gave me 5 key aspects of purpose. So, key aspect of purpose number 1, reason for being, the why behind what you do, your reason for existence or achieving something. Pretty powerful. Key aspect of purpose number 2, action-oriented. It translates into concrete goals and behaviors. Key aspect number 2, action-oriented. It translates into concrete goals and behaviors, whether daily tasks or lifelong pursuits. Kind of sounds like what we're doing here, lifelong pursuit. Key aspect of purpose number 3, meaningful. It's personally significant and feels important to you, making your life feel valuable. Again, pretty spot on. Key aspect of purpose number 4, beyond the self. Often involves connecting to something larger, making a positive contribution to the world. Key aspect of purpose number 5, motivational. Provides determination and resolve, helping you overcome challenges. That is pretty spot on. Those things that drive us, a reason for being, action-oriented, meaningful, beyond self, motivational. All right, so I'll start off with what was my purpose in active alcoholism. I really had no purpose. There was none. My purpose was to get drunk as often as I could. And later on, I was finding that I was getting drunk to mask the life that I had created where I was only serving myself. I was selfish, self-centered to the extreme, and no matter what was going on, it was all about me. And all of that guilt and shame that I felt by taking some of those actions that were selfish and self-centered and running over people, that made me drink more. I really had no purpose in relationships. I really had no other purpose than serving myself. Any relationship I had was really only serving my own self-needs. I was never thinking of anyone else in a relationship. It was always, what could I get out of it? Whether it's a physical feeling, they're giving me that sense of belonging or that sense of purpose itself. I mean, I had a couple of relationships that just gave me some motivation, gave me some more of that reason for being. Was talked about one of those key aspects, the why behind what you do, your reason for existence or achieving something. When I was drinking, some of my purpose was really just to find that next drink. That really was my driver for anything. Like, what can I do in between getting that next drink, or to help facilitate the prolonging that lifestyle of drinking, because I really thought that life was about drinking. There was no other life other than life with drinking. When I reached my bottom, that's when I realized that I was in a spot where I really couldn't envision a life with or without alcohol. But part of that purpose and that drive and that motivation was getting that drink and trying to hit that oblivion point where I stopped thinking about me. I stopped thinking about all the stuff I had done, stopped thinking about everything. I just wanted to not think and not be. All right, let's talk a little bit about what sometimes newcomers struggle directing that purpose. That purpose, which, if you're a recovering alcoholic, the book talks about our main purpose is to be of maximum service to others and to our higher power. But early on, I see a lot of newcomers put that purpose into a new relationship or into work. Early in sobriety, we get sober, we clean up, we dress up, we start looking better, we start feeling better. Sometimes we start doing better. We find that relationship that we were always wanting to find because we're now available and we're not a piss the bed drunk anymore. As far as work, sometimes we're if we still have a job, we're throwing ourselves back into that job as much as we can. We're trying to make up for lost time and all that lost money we've spent. It could be a relationship that we're currently in that we have damaged, that all of a sudden that relationship is looking better. We're back in the house, whether we were in the garage or at a friend's house, or if we were on the couch or back in the bed. Things are going really, really well. And it seems like, it can turn into, the purpose of my sobriety is to get that relationship back, or to get that job back, or to get the new job. But when we find out that purpose, if it was focused on the relationship or the job, when those relationships or jobs start to turn sour or disappear, so does our purpose. So you see a lot of newcomers and a lot of, people with a couple of years of sobriety lose that relationship or lose that job that they so desperately wanted. When they lose it, they get drunk again because they lose that purpose. Either way you look at it, if you're focusing or having your relationship or your work be your primary purpose, the second you lose that, that's when you're in real danger of going back out. And for this alcoholic, going back out is close to a death sentence. I don't really have any other options. Jails, institutions, and death. That's where we end up. And I can't afford that at this moment. So somehow, as a recovering alcoholic, I've got to have some sort of purpose that can sustain anything in life, any trauma in life, any good parts, any bad parts, something that kind of transcends the physical. Talk about relationships and work. A lot of people focus that purpose on, and getting the job, keeping the job, getting the promotion, finding that relationship that we ever wanted, or rebuilding that relationship that we broke. Well, the program tells me that I have got to have a purpose that's a little stronger than that. And the purpose that the book tells me is being of maximum service to my higher power and those around me. So my purpose today is service. There are tons of service organizations out there that focus on service. Not me, other people. Volunteering to give my time to go and serve someone else. It's not unique to the recovery world. It has been going on for many, many decades and centuries before that. 12-step programs were born in the mid-1930s. We're kind of late to the game in the service. But service for me is where I need to put my focus on and my purpose. If I'm going towards that goal, those things we talked about before, those some of those key aspects, beyond the self, often involves connecting to something larger, making a positive contribution in the world. Reason for being, why? The why behind what you do, your reason for existence or achieving something, action oriented. It translates into concrete goals and behaviors, whether daily tasks or lifelong pursuits. There are some things I have got to do on the daily to keep my alcoholism at bay. I've got to do a lot of step work. I've got to do a lot of prayer. I've got to do a lot of reaching out to other alcoholics to help them. Because one of those concepts is, when all else fails, intensive work with another alcoholic will save the day. And when I can't reach another alcoholic, when I can't do that kind of stuff, I have got to get on my knees and pray to whatever it is that I think is keeping me sober. I use the term God, good orderly direction, gave me the gift of desperation. And it's, physically it looks like a group of drunks. All three of those things mean God, say God. It's just easy. I'm a little on the lazy side, so higher power is kind of a mouthful. God's a little easier. All right, let's talk a little bit about what kind of service opportunities there are in recovery programs, or even just in sobriety itself. You want to not be in a recovery program, perfectly fine. I'm not going to say you can't. I can say that I could not. I couldn't. 12-step program kind of gives you a great way to have service opportunities at your fingertips to serve other people. And since I am uniquely qualified as an alcoholic, I've lived that life, I am uniquely qualified to help another suffering alcoholic try to figure it out, how to stay sober, how to change their life, how to be a better person. I'm uniquely qualified because I've lived it. And given that community that is built up around a 12-step program, you are right there. There is service opportunities everywhere, and at the core of that is, so freely giving back what was so freely given to me, and ultimately seeing that the light turn on those dead eyes that I used to have, seeing those dead eyes turn on in someone else is really gratifying. But let's get into some of those service opportunities. I came in the late 90s, early 2000s. There's still a lot of smoking going on in meetings, so I was, without having a true job or anything, I was showing up early, trying to help set up ashtrays and chairs. I was staying late, helping clean up those ashtrays and put those chairs away. One of those big suggestions was find a home group early in sobriety. Finding a home group that's an active home group, not just one that's in name, but those active home groups have defined service positions, whether it's a greeter at the door, whether it's making sure that you're in charge of, or at least responsible for, the setting up the meeting, making coffee. I made coffee for several meetings for several years. It's a great service opportunity. And we can't forget the biggest service opportunity of them all is that 12th step, intensive work with another alcoholic, me sharing one-on-one with another alcoholic, how I found sobriety, what my drinking looked like, what happened and what it's like today, to try to connect with that person who's still suffering and take them through the work that I've done to stay sober, and that I still do today to stay sober. I choose to do that the way it was done with me with my last sponsor, and it seems to work. So it has kept me sober. That's really the only point of that. The purpose is to help someone else. And the purpose behind sponsorship is not to keep someone sober, nor to get them sober, nor to turn them into you. It's to try to be a guide, to try to help them develop a relationship with a power greater than themselves. Because just like me, when I came in here, I had no more power within me to change who I was than I had the day I was born. I'm no more smarter today in that respect than I was back then. I just tapped into a power greater than myself that keeps me sober one day at a time. All right, let's talk a little bit about how to put purpose into my life and how to what actions I need to take to make that purpose stick, to make that purpose meaningful in my life. It really all starts with action. There's a couple concepts in the rooms that, I've got to act as if, or I've got to fake it till I make it. You hear fake it till you make it a lot. So I'm such a fake person out there. I like the term act as if. So I'm acting as if things are okay, or I'm acting as if I know what's going on. I'm acting as if my higher power is working in my life, or I'm acting as if I have purpose, or that purpose is actually meaningful to me. I've been told what my purpose is supposed to be, but having that purpose actually have a feeling in my heart. Just because I know something up here doesn't mean it's actually hit down here in my heart. A lot of sponsors, a lot of people in the meetings, you'll hear, I have to act my way into good thinking. I can't think my way into good action. So basically, I've got to act first. My feet have got to move, and then my thinking will change. I've got to have that goal of being a little, less selfish by helping others. The goal is to help others. As long as my feet, I can't think myself into doing that. My feet have got to do that. But also my thinking has got to be, taken with a grain of salt. My thinking will always tell me, you don't need to do this. You hear alcoholism talked about, so it's in the parking lot doing push-ups, or it's just, it's right on the other side of the door waiting for you to open that door so it can smack you in the head with something. Well, if I'm driving the boat of purpose towards, helping others, it's gonna subtly tell me, oh, today you don't need to go do that, or tomorrow you don't need to do that. No, just because you made some plans with someone, you don't have to do that. Just you're tired. You don't have to go out. That is my disease knocking at my front door. That's my disease yelling at me in the parking lot when I'm trying to get out to the car. Anything, it will do anything to derail me from my purpose. And if I get derailed from my purpose, that is when I'm most likely to relapse. That's when I'm going to pick up a drink. That's when I'm going to get a case of the F-its and just say, F it, I'm going to go drink. I can't deal with this anymore. Losing that focus and that purpose. But I got to take a lot of actions to get there, to make sure that purpose is meaningful to me. Something that's really helped me is going to a bunch of meetings, watching new people come in, watching what a train wreck their life is, and how they're just spewing out all of their disease basically in a meeting. Their eyes are gray, they're shaking and twitching, and they can't sit still. And a couple months down the road, that same person sitting still in a meeting, they're talking different, they're sounding different, they're looking different. You're seeing that twinkle in an eye that something's changed. And that's because someone's been helping them. And I've, that one-on-one helping someone else, through the program, I've watched them have their lights turn on. And that's definitely a direct relationship to strengthening my purpose and making that connection between my heart and my head. So the longest distance in AA is between my head and my heart. That's, I can know a lot of stuff. I can think a lot of stuff. I can quote a lot of things in the big book. I can tell you all sorts of different facts about nonsense. If I don't have it hit my heart somehow, it's got no meaning. In the very beginning, I showed up for a lot of service. I did a lot of meetings. I went to early meetings. I went to meetings early, stayed late, even the meetings that weren't my home group. picked up a lot of ashtrays, picked up a lot of chairs. The fact is that the more I showed up in service, no matter what that looked like, my thinking started to change. I started to enjoy the service. I didn't really enjoy showing up early and staying late at a meeting, 2 hours of out of my day when it's only an hour meeting. And, but the more I showed up, the more I did for others, the better I felt. I mean, it was just strange. Everyone told me it would change and you would feel better by serving others. I didn't understand it. One of the biggest side benefits of showing up and serving others is creating that fellowship around me that insulates me a little bit from my old world, from my thinking. And the more people I surround myself with that are on this path of sobriety, the more chances I have of staying sober, because they're trying to stay sober. They're trying to help me stay sober. I'm trying to help them stay sober. I'm meeting them on this road of service, and we're going to lunch together. We're going to dinner together. We're actually having real conversations about what's going on in my head. I never had that sitting in a bar or sitting in a fraternity house or, trying to smoke dope out of the window of my dorm room, out back drinking in the car. None of that stuff. I wasn't having real conversations. I wouldn't really care about what's going on in your life. I'm going to talk to you about what we can mix together to get even more messed up. That was the extent of my conversations. But the more I show up in service, the more friends I make, and the more real friends I make. And the more times they ask me to, hey, can you come over and help me move? And the more times I can ask them to say, hey, can you come over and help me move? They'll say yes, and I'll say yes. I might not want to, but I'll say yes, because that's service. And what happens when I do that, when I ask, people say yes, and they show up. I can't tell you how many times I was, asked some of my old using buddies to come help me do something. Oh yeah, sure. And time comes for them to actually get off their couch and come help. Oh no, man, I can't do it today. I'm not feeling good. And they always bowed out. Or if they showed up, they were so screwed up, they were worthless. I can show up for people today. People show up for me today because I'm a friend to them and they're a friend to me. Sometimes it's not convenient. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have said, I really don't want to go out tonight because I'm tired and I don't feel like going out. And that's, that's part of my disease, knocking on that door again. Tell me you don't have to go. Just take it easy. Rest on your laurels. You can hear that in the meetings. That's exactly the time that I need to get out of here. I need to go and finish that commitment. I told someone I was going to be somewhere at a certain time to do something. That's called a commitment. I keep them, regardless of what I feel like, what time it is. I may have felt different then about them than I feel now. I still told them I'm going to do it. I still show up and meet my commitment. Serving at the group level, definitely, in that home group, I see those people every week. I'm showing up early, I'm staying late, we're swapping home group commitments during home group meetings and the spirit of rotation. But I'm getting to know people. And I'm really getting to know people, like who has kids and who doesn't have kids, who's going to school, what they're going to school for, what kind of stuff they do at work. Not just what they, what their title is or where they work, but what they do. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I used to know, their first name. That was it. I may or may not have known where they worked. That was it. I had no clue what they did. If they were dating anyone, if they had kids, if they had a dog, didn't care. Today I care. And I want to try to be, just because that person's not my sponsee or anything. I help friends. Maximum service doesn't have the word sponsee in it. Doesn't have the word sponsor, and doesn't have the word alcoholic or non-alcoholic in it. Maximum service. my focus is on alcoholics, but when I go out the door here, I meet more non-alcoholics out there than I meet alcoholics. So I'm trying to be of service wherever I go. In that group where I'm doing all this service work, not only do I have individual friends, but I start feeling part of a group. I felt so distant and away from and apart from when I was drinking. I didn't ever feel part of a group. I didn't feel like I had a group. I had friends, kinda, but even with those friends, it was all of our activities were surrounded around getting drunk and getting high. There was no camaraderie. There was no real genuine feeling a part of. I just felt like I had a bunch of people around me that drank and used like I did. There was never any other connection. All right, let's try and do a quick sum up of purpose. Got to have purpose. The book tells us that purpose is maximum service to my higher power and to those around me, alcoholics mainly. But if it's not that, I don't believe for me, I would have stayed sober as long as I'm sober now. Because any other kind of purpose, whether it's a relationship, a job, anything other than service, when that thing disappears, that relationship, that family member, the kids, the work, when that stuff starts to falter or fall away or disappear, so does my purpose. So my purpose needs to be something a little stronger. And, just like it said when I read in the beginning, the best definition of purpose is a deeply motivating central aim or intention that provides direction, meaning, and a reason for existence. Guiding actions toward personally significant long-term goals that often benefit others or the world. What a better purpose than to serve other people, being uniquely qualified as an alcoholic, having all the experiences of an alcoholic, trying to help other alcoholics stay sober. What a blessing that is. Some people think it's a curse. I choose to use all of my experiences in active addiction and alcoholism to try to help someone else today not kill themselves. So, recapping on the key aspects of purpose, there are 5 of them. Reason for being, the why behind what you do, your reason for existence or achieving something. The reason I'm here is to help other alcoholics using my own experience. That's great. Action-oriented translates into concrete goals and behaviors, whether daily tasks or lifelong pursuits. Concrete goals. Stay sober one day at a time by helping someone else. Great. Meaningful. It's personally significant and feels important to you, making your life feel valuable. All those things we talked about. Showing up in service. You're creating a fellowship. When I show up in service doing direct 12-step work, I'm watching that twinkle in someone's eye. Their eyes turn from gray to a regular color, like blue or green. You're hearing things change. And I don't take credit for doing it, but I see where my service has helped. And that is meaningful to me. Beyond the self. This one's pretty self-evident. Often involves connecting to something larger, making a positive contribution to the world. I'm trying to make a difference in a small dent in alcoholism. Again, using my own experience as the guide to help someone else find a power greater than themselves so they don't have to kill themselves in active addiction. Motivational, provides determination and resolve, helping overcome challenges. I can't tell you how many times I have had situations in my life where I thought things were just going terrible. My dad passed away when I was 28, 29 years old. My mom's got some addiction stuff. I went through a really nasty divorce. All sorts of just fun stuff that a lot of people go out after. They drink because their parents died or their grandparents died. They drink because they got a divorce. They drink because of all sorts of reasons. But the provides determination and resolve, helping you overcome challenges. all of those things that I've experienced in my life, I'm able to help someone else going through that exact same thing and show them how I did it staying sober. How did I stay sober through these calamities, these tragic events in my life? How did I stay sober? No other person can do that. A counselor can try to do that. Your neighbor might be able to do that. But one-on-one, talking to another alcoholic about my problems and how I stayed sober through them, I've watched it. When I got sober, I was 20. I've been married in sobriety. I got divorced in sobriety. I got remarried in sobriety. Last marriage. But that divorce was ugly and nasty. It was a really good opportunity for me to get back in the program because I had kind of slacked away from meetings, and there was some last couple of years of that marriage were rough. But I found a new sponsor, a new sponsorship family. Got 5, 6, 7 other sponsorship brothers in that family, and I came in and I was going through a divorce. I came into that family as one other person that was already going through a long-term relationship breakup. Shortly thereafter, someone else's marriage fell apart in that sponsorship group. Say 6 to 8 months after I asked the sponsor that I had to be my sponsor, he started going through a divorce. I was already 6 to 9 months into the process of what is going to go on in a divorce, and I'm complaining and whining to him about all this stuff that she's doing to me and blah blah blah, and is it odd or is it God that I made it into that sponsorship family, and that half of that sponsorship family started going through breakups or divorces, and I'm the one they're turning to because I'm the one that's got the most experience. Did it help me emotionally? Yeah, it did. Did it take all the pain away from going through what I was going through? No. But the motivation I got from that, I can't describe it. I can't quantify it. It never ceases to amaze me that the positions that my higher power puts me in to be of use. But I got to keep my eyes open for when those opportunities are there and take advantage of them, especially when I don't feel like it. I've got to act as if I know what's going to go on. I got to act as if I know this is going to be helpful. I got to act as if this is going to be the best thing for me, even though when I don't feel that way. But finding a purpose in sobriety is super important. If you don't find that purpose and you can't make that purpose stick in your life, you're probably going to drink again. The wife might disappear. She might, on her own, she might pass away. That work might pass you up for a promotion. You might start getting irritated that they're not seeing your value. You might change jobs. They might fire you. All those things, if that's what your purpose is, to get the job back, get the wife back, have the kids love you again. Those are all great things, but they're not going to keep you sober when push comes to shove. Helping other people, being of service, especially those in recovery, that's what's going to be meaningful. That's what's going to stick through all of life's ups and downs. So, I'm going to have some more of these Beyond the Bottle videos. Not sure what the next one's going to be. Hope this one was helpful. Hope everyone has a great sobriety day.